Yo, what is up everyone? Dylan here, back again with a brand new custom mechanical keyboard video. And in this video, I'm going to be showcasing my latest build, which is the Mark 65 by Boardsource. The Mark 65 is an awesome 65% form factor hot swappable keyboard that supports a lot of different layouts, though it is a hot swap PCB. This is really interesting to me as we're seeing a lot of different companies come out with hot swap PCBs, and hot swap being the new norm over soldered PCBs that also support a lot of the functionality that people would opt into a soldered PCB for. Layout is actually a very important factor to keep in mind when building a keyboard. The Mark 65 PCB is very unique as it supports various different ANSI and ISO layouts and compatibility with split backspace, split spacebar, and split left shift, and many more. The Mark 65 was in group buy late October last year and was finally shipped out in Q1 of this year. Some people still haven't received theirs depending on which vendor they ordered through, but I know a lot of people who ordered off Boardsource directly already have them in hand, and some people are waiting on them. I did hear rumors on the Boardsource Discord that they were having plans on having this keyboard be available again, whether it's fully available on the website or through another group buy in the future. Don't quote me on that, but if I do hear any updates, I'll definitely post in the comments. This keyboard ran me about $500, putting this in kind of the mid to high range keyboard. I had a lot of fun building this. I tried switches and stabilizers that I've never used before. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the build. I like to start all of my keyboard builds with the KVD fan stabilizer foam. These are small cutouts that sit underneath the stabilizers to prevent any unnecessary movement and noise. I like to use these instead of doing the old-fashioned Band-Aid mod. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there explaining what the Band-Aid mod is if you don't know what this means. In this build I tried out some C-cubed Equalz stabilizers this time around. I usually use Zeal or Durock V2s, but I got these a while ago from a group buy and I thought I'd try them out. I use Krytox 205 grade 0 to lube my stabilizers. I don't really do anything too special with the lube job, so for those of you in my comments asking me how I lube my stabs, this is pretty much how. I start by applying a good amount of lube on the stab housing as well as the stems. Any surface that makes contact with another piece of plastic or metal wire, I'll be sure to go over with my brush. Modding your stabs is probably the most important step of building your keyboard. Lubing your stabs can drastically influence the overall sound and feel of your board for the better. I like to take a heaping glob of lube and brush it along the ends and bends of the wires. I'll sometimes even dip them in for a lube bath, but I opted for the brush method this time. It's okay to be very generous with the amount of lube that you put on the wires. I find it that as long as lube isn't actually dripping onto my PCB, it actually helps eliminate the rattle entirely. Before I pop the wires in, I like to go over the little socket where the wire will be placed inside of the stabilizer housing with a little bit more lube. I'll then go ahead and pop them in and make sure that they are functioning properly, and once again brush over with a little layer of lube before I actually screw them into my PCB. And for the final step, I like to use dielectric grease to fill the open ends of the stabs. This is a bit easier to do with a syringe, but a tiny brush works as well. Check out Minterly's plugging the butt method on her channel for a better method of doing this. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do to my stabilizers almost every time I build a keyboard, and I'll go ahead and do that for all of the other stabs and go ahead and screw them on. The switches that I got were not in stock anywhere besides AliExpress, so I bought them off Mech Market so I didn't have to wait a long time for shipping. These are the 62 gram Gazzew Boba U4Ts, and before I forget to do it, I'll do a wobble test. There is very little vertical and horizontal wobble on these switches. These are a Thocky tactile switch that a lot of you have been telling me to try, so I'll be sure to make a video comparing these to the Holy Pandas sometime very soon. I used the Stupid Fish foam kit for the Mark 65 on this build, and honestly, if you're building any keyboard, I highly suggest that you check out stupidfish.design to see if he makes the foam kit for your keyboard. A lot of aluminum keyboards are very hollow and pingy sounding, which is why I prefer polycarbonate boards and F44 plates, but that's besides the point. Adding a foam kit to a metal keyboard will actually dampen the sound signature while reducing pinginess and hollowness. It's crazy to see how far Stupid Fish's foam service has come, because back in the day you actually had to hit him up on Reddit to buy one, but now with his own site, definitely go check it out and get one for your board if it's available. I like to use counter pressure on the PCB while inserting the first couple switches onto the plate to make sure that all of the switches are snapped in and are secure. I start by snapping the switches onto each corner to give a good foundation for the PCB and plate to be held together, and once most of the perimeter is filled, it's just smooth sailing from then on out. I personally like to pull up a switch tester and plug in the PCB while actually adding switches to make sure that I didn't bend any pins, but if any pins do get bent, it's not a big deal. You can just remove the switch and bend them back straight, and you're good to go. This keyboard is constructed from 3 separate pieces, each coming together to form a sandwich case with a gasket mounted plate. This is actually one of my favorite mounting styles, as it gives the board slightly more of a cushioned feel since the plate isn't directly in contact with any other metal components of the keyboard. Overall, assembling this keyboard was pretty easy. All it takes is 12 screws to be tightened in with an included hex wrench, and you're pretty much good to go. The acrylic back piece showcases the RGB underglow in a very good looking way on this keyboard. I'm not one to run RGB on my keyboards personally, but I'm a pretty big fan of how it looks on the Mark 65. I'm running a set of GMK white on black that I picked up off of Drop's Amazon store. These costed me about $110 and were shipped with a 2-day Prime delivery. Finally, the board is complete, so let's go ahead and jump into a sound test. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a thumbs up and a subscription with the notification bell if you already haven't. At my next subscriber milestone, I am going to be doing yet another giveaway, which is going to be a keyboard that my Twitch and YouTube community actually helped me build. And by helped, I mean held me against my will and forced me to build this thing. It is a monstrosity of a meme. It is the Drop Prionic Dogecoin Shiba Inu hybrid that the chat voted on. There are a couple of stream VODs on my channel to see how this thing actually came to life, so please check those out if you haven't, and I hope one of you lucky subscribers gets this keyboard in the future, and if you want to use it as your daily driver or a macro pad, that would be sick. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. All of my social links are in the description below if you want to keep up with me on other channels. More videos are to come. I'm sorry I say this in every outro, but I've just been so busy and I really want to make this a full-time thing, but I'm easing my way into it and hopefully one day we make it big time. Alright everyone, I'll see you in the next one. Peace!